Thanks for joining me today. Today I want to talk about great teams, and behind every great team, 9 times out of 10, is an awesome architect. And as leaders, I like to call leaders architects because that's what we do. We build and we supervise. See, by definition, architect means to build buildings and in many cases supervise the construction. So now you can kind of see why I call leaders architects, because a lot of times when you're a leader, you have a team. And you want that team to be as highly efficient and high performing as possible so that you all can reach your goal. I'll give you some examples. In the 60s, you had an awesome coach named Vince Lombardi of the beloved Green Bay Packers. He was a great architect. He knew how to take a bunch of men and turn them into champions, high-performing champions. Another one, Phil Jackson and the Chicago Bulls in the 90s with Michael Jordan and Pippen and Carr and a few others. He took that team and molded them into one of the most elite teams in NBA history. And last but not least, one of my favorites, Greg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs. He has a system down there that's unbeatable. He can plug anybody in the system that he wants, that he feels fits their criteria, their team morals, their team standards, their team play, and turn that group of men into champions. And see, that's what our architect does. He builds and she builds buildings and oversees the construction. And see, the construction for the team is a process that Bruce Tuckman back in the 60s wrote an article about. And he was saying when you build teams, especially great teams, they're going to go into, well, not go into, but these teams are going to, actually, they're going to go into 4 phases before they become that team that architects really need to have in order to be successful. And he coined these phrases: forming, storming, norming, and performing. So basically he's saying these are 4 phases that any team is going to go through in order to become a team that's going to be great. Forming is really just getting together, being excited about the project. Nobody really knows what's going on yet. They're just excited to be there. Storming is the process where they get started on the project. They start working together. And, you know, sometimes boundaries overlap and work skill, not skill sets, but work seems to overlap from one person to another, and there's some conflict there. And norming is when, after they've been there for a while and worked out the kinks, now it's kind of settled down. Now they're forming into their own, and they're about to become this high-performing team that the architect has set out to put them together to be. And the last piece is performing, and that's when all the kinks are worked out and that team is running like a well-oiled machine. And I mean, it's just humming along, and there's nothing that team can't accomplish. At this moment with the team, the architect is able to supervise with minimal supervision, because now the team knows what it takes to be successful, to get stuff done. They have a trust factor amongst each other. They understand who's doing what now and who's responsible for what now. And everyone on the team is holding each other accountable for their actions and what they're supposed to be doing. See, that's an architect. It's going to be rough at the beginning when you're putting those pieces to the puzzle together, but you have to be strong and consistent. And as an architect, to be a great architect, you have to pay attention to your team and what's going on. You have to have patience and pay attention to your team. And most importantly, listen. You cannot be a great leader if you don't listen effectively to your team. So listen to what's going on, help them out and encourage them, mold them and shape them with guidance and insight and patience. And you'll see, they will be the team that you've been dreaming for. They will produce the output that you've put them together to do, that you knew they could do. Maybe they didn't know, but you knew. But that's why you're the architect. Because as an architect, you sit down and you plan. You brainstorm. You put things together so that when it's time, you end up with a finished product that is priceless and is high performing, and productivity is through the roof. Great teams are built by architects. So all you leaders out there today, I look at you as architects. So now do some looking at your own teams and compare your team with what I've said today. and see if any of it lines up or matches up. You may be surprised. You may be shocked. You may not. But if your team is not where you need it to be, you've got some work to do. All right. That's my time. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate you listening to me. If you want to see other videos like this as well as audio clips, please go to my website at www.chadbumgarner.co, and also at Twitter. My Twitter handle is at Chad_Bumgarner, and you can also catch me on Periscope. I'm scoping now, so my tag out there is Chad Bumgarner or at Chad Bumgarner. So there you have it. Thanks again. I appreciate your time, and remember, great leadership equals great results. How are you leading?